a lack of compromise in the way that we're approaching these role-playing games. I guess on that note, we should probably discuss 40k for a bit now that we're doing
Sure.
lack of compromise.
Mm-hmm.
The title of this stream, and probably the video if we're going to put it up, is 40k as viewed from the outside. Okay, and I know both of you have some knowledge on 40k, but I think you're very much more in the role-playing sphere of things than in the tabletop wargaming sphere of things. You ain't missing much if you ask most role wargamers. But I think you are. To be fair, I think wargaming is the quintessential male hobby, and it's god damn it, and it helps.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was watching a video of yours. I think a couple months ago, maybe 5-6 months ago, where you were getting back into the old world.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Which 40k is the world of 40k is very interesting to me, but the world of Warhammer Fantasy is even more interesting. But I have a very Reddit understanding of 40k. I'm someone who has spent maybe 35 minutes on the 40k wiki, and I've seen that viral Bricky video where he goes through all the factions, and that's sort of the extent of my knowledge.
To be fair, that's not a bad foundation, and that's truly a detriment to 40k. That is actually not a bad foundation to start building your knowledge upon.
I'm gonna refill my coffee. Please continue. I'll be right back.
Excellent.
No, absolutely not a bad foundation to start building a knowledge upon. It is a very coarse object, 40k. And I get what you mean about fantasy being a lot more approachable, because like the old world is still has its own quirks. It has an Holy Roman Empire in there that's approaching the Renaissance. There is a lot of weird stuff going on, but brass tacks, it's a fantasy setting. You know, there are lots of holes to grab onto there. 40k, there's an Inquisition in space. Like, what? Yeah, it's kind of there's a lot more slippage there.
So I've been aware of 40k, for many decades. Never got into it, partly because I was never into or I didn't know anybody who was into painting miniatures or doing the hobby itself. But like the lore of the game, because there's been video games and what have you. Sure. I haven't played any of them. But I had a criticism years ago, which I think is not accurate. But I'm curious what your thoughts are with regard to the notion of grimdark as such, right? So my understanding, when I was in my 20s or a late teenager, it was okay. 40k, it's a sci-fi world. It's the Inquisition. It's a losing battle. There's the Emperor of Mankind. There's a bajillion different alien threats, and there's chaos. There's these demons. And the point seems to be that it is nothing is ever going to change, and it's basically chaos is going to win in the end, and the galaxy blows up or something.
Yeah.
And my criticism was, well, it's not even, well, this is nihilistic, which I don't think is the case. But okay, well, if nothing is ever going to happen, and if the conclusion is basically already implicitly understood, what is the point? I don't believe that anymore. I think that's too simplistic. Mm-hmm. But what is your thought on what's sort of the kernel of attraction to grimdark? Because I have a different thought now, but I want to hear what you think.
Well, I think there is a game out there, it's not out yet, that actually fits that description. It's called Trench Crusade.
Mhm.
I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan
the
of Trench
meme
Crusade.
replacement. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not a big fan. And I've been dragged over the coals by my own chat for this many times, so get your pitchforks out. To me, Trench Crusade is written by modern people who think they know what Stoicism is, and it's just nihilistic bullshit. It's literally just so pessimistic. There's no point to anything. Everyone's bad, especially the Christians. Everyone's bad. It's like, like
Uniquely bad are the Christians.
uniquely bad. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Eternally, yeah.
And
Always
there was
damned.
a YouTuber, Trill, was speaking about this a while ago, and
Ah,
there is something awesome about a setting where there is good and evil. Go screw yourself.
Yeah.
Like there is
Yeah.
good and evil in this world, and there are good people and bad people, and you should celebrate the good ones. And I think with Grimdark, I really did put across my point really badly now I think about it. But with Grimdark, you can't have light without shadow and vice versa. You have to have good
Yeah.
people in Grimdark striving against the grim and go, no, I'm going to change this. They never succeed, ever, but they always try. That celebrates the tenacity of the human spirit. Like, that's what it's all about. That's what Grimdark is. And 40k does do that. 40k has countless characters there who really do try. And not all of them are superhumans based in power armor. Some of them are just normal dudes, like farmers on an agri world who just wants to protect his family, and he sees a 8 foot tall power armored Iron Warrior Chaos Space Marine, and he just runs at him with a pitchfork. No, screw you! You're messing with my fam. I'm gonna take you down. He dies. But the balls in this guy.
Yeah.
Like one of the main dudes in
the
this setting was a
NIMBY
guy
Chad
called,
at the end of time.
Yeah, there's a guy called Alanius Pierce, right? He was an Imperial Guardsman who stands in front of the Emperor when Horus is about to kill him. Horus is a god. He's like 12 foot tall.
Yeah.
And he skins him alive with his mind. It's like, dude, dies horribly.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you're not touching him. Sorry. Like the balls, Titan balls, and it's like none of those people would exist in Trench Crusade because everything's screwed. And I think, Nick, that is a really good... As soon as you were describing that, I had Trench Crusade in my head. I was like, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Again, if anyone can give me something to prove that I'm wrong, I will happily read it. Of everything that I've read of Trench Crusade, I was very interested in it, but that interest waned very quickly. As somebody who's studied the ancient Stoics and things like that, there is a lot of the ancient Stoicism in 40k. Trench Crusade is full of modern-day Stoicism. It's people who think... it's not worth being annoyed or upset or emotional about anything. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, you're being tortured. Have you tried not caring?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, have you
Silly.
tried killing your own consciousness?
Yeah.
I mean, 40k
So this
does
is
that
what-
too, but...
I was asking myself, because I knew we were going to talk about 40k and some other stuff. I was thinking to myself, I don't really know anything about 40k. 40k is cool. The aesthetic, of course, is cool. There's decades of lore that has its attraction, but what is it that is interesting? I don't know about any of these characters. I know who Horus is and like the Emperor, but and I think it seems to me the main not attraction. What am I trying to say? The main one of the core aspects of like Grimdark that makes it interesting. And I'm talking about the Imperium here. I don't know how the Tau or the Eldar or whatever fit into Grimdark. I just don't know. I just don't know enough about them. Also, who fucking cares? Why would you not want
I know.
to play the
fucking Space
Imperium?
Marines. I know.
Yeah,
It's so
I would
ridiculous.
play a fucking I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
It's a world that is suffused with. This may not even be the right term, but it's a world that's suffused in. It's like conviction punk. It's like like it's like belief punk in a way. Like the stakes are so high. The danger and the devastation arrayed against you is so ludicrously exaggerated. It would almost be comical. It's like tragic and then seems to come back around again, but there's an operaticness where it's like, no, like you were saying, I'm standing in front of a literal god, a literal chaos god or whatever in front of my emperor, and that is cool as fuck.
Yeah.
I do like that. That I can get with. That's like, yes, that makes sense to me. So I don't know if that is accurate at all from your.
I was to say my view from the outside on this is that's exactly the spirit of 40K. People say, "Oh, it's satire and all this stuff." It's not satire.
Fuck up! I don't care if it is. This is like the media literacy thing.
Yeah, take your media literacy card and I can't say what I want to say. It's YouTube, but
I love me Emperor.
The entire thing is that the way in which Grimdark is not just nihilistic awfulness is when you've set up such an absurdly ridiculous conflict, and like you said, the people believe so hard that they're willing to sacrifice their life, get flayed by someone's mind powers and things like that. That is comical and funny, and it is like the heroism in that, in the face of just odds that you can't defeat, is so admirable and so fun. That like I think that's where like the joy comes from. It's
a joyful setting, yeah. People don't realize. Like there is one thing I wanted to point out to both of you is that what you just said there, Matt, is actually part of the lore. It's true. So if you works, like if you believe something enough, it becomes true. So Now I mean on a racial level. So the true irony is the Emperor always said, "I'm not a god." But now he's on the golden throne, and he's people pray to him all the time. He's actually a god because he's empowered by everyone's prayers. The orcs think if you paint something red, it goes faster, and because they're so single-minded and dumb, it actually works. Like it actually does go faster, you know. And shit like that.
And the orcs are very joyful. Like the orcs are just having fun. Yeah, they're great. Like they have the most optimistic vision of everything, in my opinion.
It's like this is good guys.
They're like, this is
we're
great.
Bringing war. This is awesome. Hey guys.
Yeah.
Like, we'll crush your face now. Like I love, and this is why I was so pissed off when Games Workshop killed him off screen. How dare you? Was Commissar Yarrick. He is an Imperial Guard commander, Commissar, who is so badass fighting the orcs that they're terrified of him and they start telling stories about him. And because of how their belief works, he literally starts becoming like Super Saiyan powered. Some dude. He rips like the arm off an orc and attaches it to himself and is like, and he goes in there and call him Old Red Eye, like his laser eye can just kill you at a glance, and it starts working. That sort of
nice.
That's it's peak 40K, And one thing awesome. I will say is like Games Workshop are getting away from that. Unfortunately, they're going more down the milsim route, which is it's pretty shitty. No matter how cool the new Space Marines look, it is pretty shitty that they're going down this route. But that is 40K though. What you're both describing is the essence of what 40K is supposed to be. Is that you believe something?
Yeah, and and my and again, I don't know much about Trench Crusade. I know that when the 40K people tried to become fans of Trench Crusade, they were told no by the developers, which is a very stupid idea to fire potential customers like that. Fine. Yeah, exactly. It's your choice, your company, whatever. But the bare minimum of what I know, it does not feel like that sense of joy is present in that game. It does look like if we just took it very, very seriously and accepted that this is a horrible slog. I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun or entertaining or like anything that like what would be the point?
It's soulless.
I don't care how good the aesthetics are, if it's completely soulless.
It's a game that was built around somebody's artwork rather than the other way around.
Mhm.
Like 40k was
Nice.
built by Rick Priestley, Andy Chambers, those guys. They had a vision of and originally it was satire originally.
Mhm.
But Rick Priestley, if you listen to any of the guys who wrote third edition, which is where the sea change happened, they all say legitimately, we made a decision to move away from satire. After first
Mhm.
edition Rogue Trader, we said, hey, all right, Thatcher government, fine, yeah, all very funny. We got Obi-Wan Kenobi in here somewhere as a, as an
Mhm.
Inquisitor. Let's move away from that. Let's make it more grounded. Let's make it more grimdark, and let's make it. Well, grimdark wasn't even a thing back then. They coined it, right? It was in the grim
Yeah.
darkness of the far future. There's only war. So they said, let's make it more grounded, but let's instill. Let's be more clever about this. Let's instill belief systems. Let's instill. Games Workshop are very, very good at writing extremely, or they were writing extremely elegant lore pieces that fit together. So much so that somebody who writes a lot like me, it's like someone's giving you a massage in your brain. It's brilliant.
Mhm.
One good point that I wanted to bring up wasn't 40k related. It was something that Nick reminded me of before with the Old World. It's the ogres. So the ogres are one of the greatest written factions in anything ever. Any role-playing game, any war game, because every single facet of them makes sense. From their magic system, which is gut magic. So it's literally they go "Ugh," and go and they
Yeah.
fart
Yeah.
and then something happens. They eat all the time. They believe their soul is in their gut. They wear gut armor and no other armor. They just wear a big plate there. They worship this sarlacc thing that fell from the heavens. So it's just the open maw pit in the middle of nowhere. They just worship it and throw shit into it, and like that's what happens there. They're mercenaries. They're like, and they actually will fight for you. They're actually quite cool. As long as you don't stop paying them, then they'll eat you. No, but they
Mhm.
have brains. They're kind of they kind of look like Mongolians, which is kind of problematic, but it's also really funny. Like it's like they're just the big dude with mustaches and stuff, and I
Mhm.
just
Nice.
love them. And GW used to be able to write shit like that all the time, and you'd read it and go, "This is genius!" Like
Well,
they,
and
you know,
this is something we talk about a lot because what you said, it was originally satire, and then they took on the sincerity.
yes,
And when they took on the sincerity, this is where this amazing thing is birthed, basically, and it gets
Right.
much better. This is why I don't like things that are. It's like, oh, this is a satire. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that you are
I'm
being
taking it
false.
seriously, and it's not interesting.
yeah,
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 you're being false about this, and it's like
Yeah.
people are desperate for sincerity, and
Yes.
obviously that you can see that shines through, and why this became so, why everyone loves it is
mm-hmm.
because of that sincerity. And the more you get away from that, or shy away from it, or try to take it in um, a direction that is in some sense dishonest, it's that's going to kill anything that was magic about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And just on that point, because I know a lot of people will say, "Well, didn't you guys say that Trench Crusade was too sincere?" No, I think what people were
No.
saying was it's soulless, it's heartless. There's nothing there.
Yes.
To be sincere
Right.
about. That's the whole problem.
Right, that's the thing. Is the reason that Grimdark is fun is because of these other things. It's because of the absurdity, and taking the absurdity seriously, and the the heroism and face of the darkness. But if you only
Yeah.
believe that it's all darkness, that there's
Mm.
no and the characters just believe it's only darkness. And if I can tell when you're writing it that your values are everything is darkness, it's going to be terrible. And again, I haven't read Trench Crusade. I don't know anything about it beyond like 3 tweets that I've read.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But
But additionally, like corollary to that, there's a common pitfall. Like what did I just say a little bit like conviction punk? I don't know
mhm,
what the prefix is here, but there's an aspect of like 40k and Trench Crusade. It's so bombastic. It would perhaps be accurate to call it some kind of a punk, or at
mhm,
least you know what I mean. Where and
Feudal
you
punk.
this is the literal history. If it's
Hmm.
being sort of inspired by a kind of art or the work of some artist. Um, I don't know anything about Trench Crusade, but the sense I've always gotten about it is um, it's all It's all aesthetic. It's all
Mhm.
style, no substance, which is a common problem that can fall into the sort of punk kind of games. We're talking about steampunk or diesel punk or cyberpunk. It's if it's just about the vibe,
Yeah.
that's not enough. The vibe is very, very important. You need a
Yeah.
vibe for 40K and
Yeah.
Like
for
a tech
Night
demo.
City and for all of these things, but
Yeah.
it's not just that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially a tech demo. Like that's what you're doing. It's not. It has no substance there. There's nothing.
Yeah.
When I come into your world, I wanna turn over a rock in the woods, and I want to see grubs. I want to see worms and soil and shit. I don't want to
Yeah.
see a Marxist manifesto. I don't want to see whatever else
Oh,
you
I
might have
know.
going on
I
underneath
know.
your whatever you got
It's.
going on.
I just don't
Go
make
ahead.
propaganda. That's all.
No.
Like, politics and philosophy are going to come through in anything anyone writes. I understand that.
Yeah.
More philosophy than politics. But it's when you have written explicitly something that is propaganda and is preaching a message to me. I don't care what the message is. I just don't want it. It's so annoying.
And you'll that'll be countered by Smooth Brain saying, well, everything's political. No,
No.
that's not what we're saying.
Shut the
like
fuck up.
you can have politics and whatever in your setting. In fact, you should. In a fantasy setting with like you want to explore themes and government types and how they're working, cool.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing it from a top-down perspective of this is how the world works and isn't this interesting. The minute you start
Right.
parroting opinions,
When people say that everything is political, they are not only are they wrong about this, but this is just they are telling you that I believe you and I are in conflict, and I intend basically to force you into the position where my politics are. It's
a bad
fake.
faith.
Yeah.
We have to engage in this sort of binary. That's on my terms. Everything is political. Why aren't you fighting me? On my terms, with gay semantics.
With my retarded rules, and it's completely false. Not everything has to be political. And people who tell you that this is
you can just
this is the ring of the leper. The approach.
Well.
It's the ring of the leper bell. You know who you're dealing with when they say everything is political. You don't need to know much else about them. They've told you everything by saying
it's the shame bell. Yeah, it's the shame bell. Whenever I see it in comments, I just brain switch off. Okay, I don't need to engage with you. Something you mentioned before about 40K, I think Matt and Nick, you both mentioned it, was about Space Marines. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there is quite a large contingent of the 40K fandom who are fucking sick to the back teeth of Space Marines and who absolutely despise them. I would actually say, weirdly, most of the normies like myself really like Space Marines. Everybody else tends to really not like them anymore. They're the poster boys. They're pushed all the time.
Yeah.
But I think your reactions was very telling there because you both went, "That's cool as shit."
It is.
Yeah.
It's cool. I understand something can be overdone, and I have no doubt that has been the case just because a modern company is handling a creative
a decades-old
creative project.
Yeah.
But the idea of Space Marines are cool, and it's like it's like both of these things can be true. Also, the Imperial Guard is fucking cool, and the Sisters of Battle are really cool to me. Like, I know it has to be normie shit, but I said I watched that Bricky video and he was getting into it. Like, I want to launch cathedrals into battle
into space,
and I want to
and want their
crush
lasers. Yeah.
I want to fire holy water and blast cathedral music across a battlefield as we scorch an entire planet and cleanse it of it's bombastic and over the top. I don't give a fuck. I want a pipe organ rocket launcher like that.
Yeah.
This is cool. And it's only dumb and retarded insofar as you're doing the smirking millennial thing, which is insufferable. It's like doing the aloof irony. You can't.
Right.
The 40K seems to me, over the past like 9 or 10 months, I've been getting into professional wrestling, and professional wrestling.
Yes, bro.
It's a simple as kind of a thing, and if you're being ironic about it, you need to be shoved into a locker.
Yes.
Like,
anti-fun.
You're anti-fun. I understand it's not real. I understand all these retarded things that you're saying. Don't care. It actually is cool. It's immune to irony in that regard.
It's Teflon.
It's so over the top.
Yeah. I think one story I wanted to regale you with, both you guys, before we move on. I know Matt's got something to say, but before I forget, there was one awesome 40K story that I read a while ago. It was about the Tau, and the Tau are quite reasonable when it comes to, the 40K universe. People call them space commies. Again, this is a reductive thing. It's what people do with 40K. They make it the dumbest version of what it is. They're not, right? They're a collectivist society, yes, but that's not what they are. And they're reasonably reasonable. They will go into worlds, and they will conquer you by just showing you a better way. They'll go to Imperial World and say, why are you working in the dirt? You've got technology that can do that. Why didn't you get educated and you can come be a geologist with us? It's fine. And everyone goes along with it, because why wouldn't you, right? Because, and it was a really interesting way of Games Workshop to say, well, what if people were conquering by being nice in 40K? Well, they soon come across the Imperium and try and make friends with them. And it goes poorly, as you can probably guess, because the Black Templars turn up and everything goes really bad. They start hearing...
Can we be friends? No.
No. Your response is coming at muzzle velocity, motherfucker. So they are hearing reports about the Titans, these massive god machines, and they're thinking, and the Ethereals are all standing there on this world that is fighting the Imperium, and there's churches on the horizon, all sorts going on. And they're saying, look, listen, I want this propaganda to stop immediately. It's for my ethereals. Nobody's stupid enough or petty enough or, just retarded enough to make something this stupid. It'd be such a waste of resources, And then one of the heroes
That's where you're wrong.
One of the heroes says, Talvar, why is that church getting closer? It's just like, going over. And it's just like... That's 40K, that's the shit right there. It just that's when these two cultures just bang and they're there together. But even the tower dickheads these days. But there we go. Sorry, Matt, I cut you off before you were about to say something.
Oh no, I think I was just gonna say this is also every 2 weeks, for years now, the discourse about Starship Troopers comes up.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, the humans invaded the bug space first, and we were the aggressors, and blah, 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 blah. And this is a satire, and you're supposed to think this. And it's like someone made literally just the perfect tweet where they tweeted out the picture of the brain bug. And it's like, I don't care how smart the satire is, whatever it is. If you are asking me to identify and empathize with this thing, I just can't. This giant, disgusting bug with all these different eyes and a vagina mouth, and it eats brains and stuff. It's like, I cannot empathize with that. I can empathize with the attractive people with machine guns that are killing that thing. And it's with me for the aliens and everything in 40K. I know they're cool. I like Tyranids and orcs and all that stuff. But the reason I like them is because I want to blow them up. And this is a perfectly this I think is the correct position. So if you don't like Space Marines, ask yourself why it is you find yourself identifying with these fucked up weird bugs and green-skinned monsters and bizarre robots and space elves and things like that. There's something wrong with you. Yeah, you are the problem. There is something wrong with you, and
sure
you need
not into
to
40K,
fix yourself.
Like, this is a very pro.
I mean, I think I love the aesthetics of it. I don't know tons about the lore. I've played the most recent Space Marine 2. I got kind of bored with it. I know it's better if it's co-op, but And I wanted to get into Warhammer and 40K when I was like 12 years old because I started seeing it in magazines. I saw it at the game shop and everything like that. And then I saw the price tag. Yeah, and I was like, that's not happening. Yeah. So my experience with war games is limited to the war game that my friend and I made because we were too broke to play 40K, which was we took our Axis and Allies figurines and we're doing like World War II battles in like Lego terrain towns that we had done. We made our own rules for it and everything like that, which was a lot of fun. That's my extent of wargaming. So there is this itch that I have, and Nick and I have discussed this many times. This is one of the reasons that I'm so I actually have the books right here. So attracted to Adventurer Conqueror King system, the role playing game,
yes.
is because in the end game of this, the later stages of the game, it shifts from being a pure fantasy role playing game like you would play in D&D into a full on war game. Like you're moving armies. You can even if you get really autistic with it, there's a rule set that there's like an abstract mass combat system for this, but there's a rule set where your individual characters can be parts of legions and you're moving troop formations around. It's a full tactical miniatures game that accounts for everything in the rules. It's insane. But that is deeply attractive to me. And I have always been interested in 40K. And I did play Dark Heresy a couple of times many years ago, which I had a lot of fun playing. I almost died, of course, but
I had infinite time and money. I would be interested in exploring wargaming. Although I think I would probably prefer Warhammer Fantasy or the Old World or whatever the hell they're calling it.
Rank and flank.
Now, actually, because of something I was watching that video of yours, I don't recall, but you made an observation that was very interesting, which didn't occur to me, but makes sense, where the Old World, the way that the troops seem to be arranged on the table, I guess it's more. Because of what it is, it's more regimented and reminiscent of like actual ancient war formations rather than Space Marines. Which Space Marines have a lot more mobility and capabilities than.
And when you have explosives and ranged weapons and
drop ships
effects,
but that is very interesting to me. We'll see if it ever happens. We were saying before we started recording that you just finished Exile Verse or Exile Con. You also finished the Exile Verse, at least the Space Marines, but Exile Con. And if it ever comes our way, I'd stop by.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to get this on the go. I mean. Try looking up Hail Caesar. That is what you just described. Imagine you could have that and your cake too. You can have your cake and eat it, right? It is ancient historical warfare in the guise of rank and flank. Yeah, it looks exactly as it's supposed to, and it's a lot cheaper. The models aren't as good, but it's a lot cheaper. Go support Rick Priestley too, Warlord Games. It's awesome.
Nice.
So
I have thought of if I get into wargaming, someone. I think it was the Joy of Wargaming here on YouTube gave some advice on Twitter, which was basically like, if you've never played war games and you want to get into them, don't just buy a bunch of minis for some game you think is going to be cool. Buy just those little wood blocks that you can get at like a hobby store. And once you find a game that you really like, a rule set that you really like, then you can start building out armies for that. But don't blow a bunch of money on miniatures and things like that, when really what you need are interchangeable units that you can use for a bunch of different games to try out what you want.
I say the same with Games Workshop. Like if you number one, don't buy from Games Workshop, don't be a retard. Like that's you're throwing money away. Source your Space Marine, get the standard 10-man intercessor squad, the standard one, and paint each and every single one a different color. That means if you leave the hobby now, you've done something with your time, you tried it out, you've got your army painted up, you tried to learn different skills, and you can say, I've tried Warhammer, I've got some different skills. As soon as you get that one paint job, like say Nick was talking about Blood Angels before, let's say you were painting like Flesh Tearers or something, or say you're painting Blood Angels, and you're thinking, oh, I like this Blood Angel guy. They're not brutal enough. Let's have a look in the lore. Oh, Flesh Tearers, cool. They're literally called Flesh Tearers. They're just mental, and their whole sign is a razor blade, and they just eat people. Cool, I'm collecting that, right? And away you go. And that's what you do. You don't decide on your army, then buy 3 or 4 sets. That is a fast track to buyer's remorse, and you're never going to get anywhere. You know, but wargaming is a phenomenal hobby if you have the time. I apart from Exile Fest, I don't have the time to do wargaming really, and unfortunately, I know you guys game designing, you do not have the time to do wargaming. But if you can find an
that's
excuse,
the other thing,
that's the thing, you know. If you can find an
Exile
excuse,
Con comes to Texas, that would be our excuse.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot in Texas, and there's a lot of people. I'm gonna have a look at my chat right now. I'm just gonna go see if there's 1 or 2 in there. I think there is 1 or 2 watching.
It's
swinging their pants right now.
It's pretty crazy on the topic of like the cost of minis and things like that. Our friend Spencer has been playing. He's played every game. You know, he's got minis for everything. But he was talking to us and saying, you know, like the prices are so ridiculous on things like Games Workshop. Like it's literally insane what they're trying to charge. And then if you try and get into like BattleTech, you can get a full lance of mechs for like $25 or $30.
They also look like a pile of shit as well, though. Like the models aren't.
I understand they're not. But the other thing is, a lot of these models seem to be getting overly detailed, and this is like you'll see when people are doing like resin prints and things like that. Like they're getting way too detailed, and it's like, do you want to? I understand mini painting is it's kind of its own hobby, but it's like, don't you want to use these things? Like, don't you want to get them to the table, or do you want to sit there and spend like weeks painting one fucking thing and getting the exact tiny detail? I don't understand people.
I'd say, in terms of doing 40k, if I think the vast majority of people just paint the models and they enjoy the lore, and they use the painting of models as a grounding technique. You know, so if they have a bad day or something, they can. When you're painting a model, the reason why I took up martial arts and pro wrestling and training and things like that is because when I'm doing that, I can't focus on anything else. Right? Like I'm literally about to get my fucking head knocked off. So every other problem goes away. It's the same thing with miniature painting. I know it sounds weird, but it's the same headspace you get into.
No, that makes sense.
I've done both. You know, you can't focus on anything else, and you're there. And by the time you're finished, dude, you feel purged. You're like, you've got energy. You're ready to go. You know, I can go back to grading essays. I can go back to doing lesson plans. So that is the reason why a lot of people get into it and they stay into it. Also, if you're going into gaming, you've got to be doing it with the right people. And I've said this time and time again. Your hobby time is precious. No gaming is better than bad gaming. That goes for role playing.
Big true.
That goes for wargaming, and finding, especially with wargaming, especially the way 40k is, it's an awful game. I'm sorry, it is. Like, it's just, you know, say me and Nick are playing a game. I'd be moving everything. Nick, you'd be standing there for an hour whilst I do all my things. You remove some of your models, and then you do the same to me for an hour. I've got better things to do, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I've just got... and it's not about attention span. People say, well, this was happening for years. You had no alternative. This was the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
You know, it just, you're in the early 90s and you're mainly in the UK. Yeah. It's rainy. You had nothing else going on.
Yeah.
So there are many pitfalls to getting into this hobby. And I think you both have stumbled across, not just stumbled across, but like made really good points on some of them.
And I will say your point about the process of painting versus using it, I do understand that. And that makes a lot of sense. On the topic of like BattleTech minis looking like shit, the cost to produce these things, though, it's not different from 40k stuff to BattleTech stuff. It's like pennies. So the justification in the price differential is crazy to me. And I understand how supply and demand works. I get how this works. People are willing to pay more, so that's how the market. And I understand how the price formation works. I get that, but I think it's insane to pay the prices that Games Workshop.
I will not be paying.
I will not ever pay for that. And
have
if I were ever to do this, I would literally just download shit and 3D print it. I would get a 3D printer. That's what I'd spend the money on.
You are within your right to do that, and I have gotten into hot water for this in the past. Have you guys seen the Australian prices for 40k right now?
No,
I've not.
Okay, a month's rent, basically for one of the medium to big sets, a month's rent. I'm not exaggerating. Like it's that bad.
It's
if Games Workshop, if Games Workshop, I don't care what the tariffs are. By the way, it's not that much. I've got friends in Australia who tell me that much. Like, yeah, dude, I work for the government. It's not that much. They are ripping us off. If Games Workshop are selling you products at that price, they are not providing you a service anymore. 3D print their shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not how the market works. You can't. If you're in Russia or Ukraine, Games Workshop have said to both countries, we're not selling models in your countries anymore. Not because they can't, just because of the political situation. Right. Fuck them. 3D print them then.
Yeah.
Like why?
Yeah.
I don't.
I understand intellectual property law. I am not a fan of intellectual property anyway, but at the same time, they're shapes. You can't control what I'm doing with my thing that can print shapes. I'm sorry.
A guy with a sword, a guy with a gun.
Right. Like,
if more people 3D printed shit and played the game, it actually would probably equate to way more sales for Games Workshop than they've seen in years. I don't know how well or poorly they're doing financially, but
very well at the moment. Trending downwards, but still doing well.
You would have so much more. I have no idea whether this is true or not, but it's always the sense I've always gotten about Games Workshop and Warhammer more broadly is there's a smaller but narrow and dwindling core of like diehard people who will pay any price.
Wales.
Because for as long as I've heard about Games Workshop, I've heard the same thing that you hear all the time, that they're the worst company and they hate their customers. I used to watch a channel called Rob Fremantle. He did RPG stuff and Warhammer stuff, and he was saying the same thing like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But
well, I remember like when I wanted to get into this in the early, like around 1999 or something like that. I remember the starter box set for Warhammer or 40K. They were all like $90 or $100 or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is would be way more expensive now.
It's way more.
There used to be a Games Workshop by me where I grew up in New Jersey. And myself and Dane, who Matt has met, a friend of mine from childhood, we went over there on a lark. So we were playing role-playing games. Well, maybe we can buy a miniature. So we were doing Pathfinder at the time, and we saw the prices, even back in, I don't know when this was, 2012, 2013, something like that, early 2010s. And I'm not going to spend that. That's absolutely absurd. For like 5 guys,
it becomes
or whatever it was.
It becomes irresponsible. Like it's just they're charging what they can get away with, and as Matt said before, we get supply and demand. We get like you'll pay what you want to pay, but they are reaching a critical mass now where people are just telling them to piss off. It's getting to that stage now where I'm surprised it got this far. Like when I was working for them, it was like, I asked once. So we go through this training, shoplifting training, all that kind of stuff. And working with the company, you're like, okay, well these models are really valuable. It is what it is. So I said to my trainer once, I said, "Oh, like if a guy runs out the store with like the new, I think it's the Horus Heresy box set, the new Horus Heresy box set. Do I chase them?" And he looked at me like I just slapped him in the face. He was like, "Don't you ever do that." I was like, "What? Don't chase any? No. Do you know how much these models are worth?" I was like, "No." He said, "Which one do you think's more expensive to make, the box or the models?" I said, "Well, the models." He goes, "No, the box."
No, yeah.
And we're fully insured. Like, we're charging like we get like a 400% profit on every single thing that we sell in this store on average.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah.
So
it's raw molded plastic.
Yeah.
That's all that it is.
And but it is a stumbling block. And people will be saying to me, like, when I was mentioning to people on the Patreon and the Discord that we're going to have you guys on again, we're going to talk some 40k. A lot of them were saying, well, avoid the business stuff, avoid the prices. Talk about law and maybe dark heresy, things like that, which you will, we have, but you can't. You can't sidestep this. If you're looking at this from like an outsider looking in, the first thing you see is those prices, and you go,
"It's the price tag." What? Yeah, that was, and it's been like this. It's always been like this. Like I said, I desperately wanted to get into to 40k and Warhammer Fantasy when I was like 11 or 12, and it's like this is something I'll never be able to do. And it's not because I will never be able to make a living and pay for things. It's because it's like
it's not a price I'm willing to pay.
It's not a price I'm willing to pay. Yeah, exactly. And it's that is a huge barrier to entry for people. Now, obviously video games on the flip side are way cheaper for the amount of entertainment that you're going to get out of them. Like on per dollar per hour that I'm paying, on something like Space Marine is way higher dollar value, and that's an easier way to get people in, which is why they have always licensed the video games. They make a lot more money on them, I'm assuming. But the core hobby, if you're like, no, I want to get into the thing, it's like, I'm gonna have to pay what to do that? Like it's a huge barrier to entry. For plastic.
One thing I wanted to ask you guys, because I'm a huge role player, but like you guys are ingrained in the zeitgeist of it more than I am. I love that word. The company culture at Games Workshop was very cult-like. I want to have a better word for it, but I don't. It was very much, and I was told this phrase before, be very careful how you act. It's easy to get kicked out of heaven, right? Not that kind of thing. Okay. Would you
Says
say...
the HR woman to the...
No, dude, this guy had a beard. He looked more man than I was. I was looking at him like, okay. So, is there a company?
Maybe one of the cringiest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Is there a company? And I know probably WotC is probably on that mark, but is there a company with the market share that Games Workshop have that is a danger to everybody else in the role-playing space, or is the one you can see approaching that in the near future, approaching that kind of a damaging
danger to them? As like a competitor to the main thing,
like the D&D killer or a WotC killer thing.
Yeah. So like the elephant in the room. Like for instance, the other week I walked into the city just to pick up. I think I wanted to look around for. I can't remember what game it was. It was a role playing game. But I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, I'm walking through town. I go into Forbidden Planet, which is a big high street retailer, and it has everything. It's supposed to have everything. All I saw was D&D. I saw nothing else.
Yeah.
I saw Call of Cthulhu, one book of it, off in the corner.
Yeah.
And the hippie kids want to play that at Halloween. That's it, right? And the rest of it is all D&D. And I just thought to myself, I know we were talking at that stage about setting this up, and I was thinking, that's a good point. Like, this is Games Workshop. This is like them. Like, whenever I go to buy anything that's not Games Workshop affiliated in another store, you're just bombarded with Warhammer. You don't get to really see anything else. Do you think that's a huge problem in the RPG space? As game developers yourselves, are you ever looking to go into the book retail market and maybe compete with some of these guys? Is that down the road? And if so, what are the main pitfalls?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this is so the D&D thing. It's not that it's good or bad. It's just the nature of how the market works. There's going to be a market leader. That market leader came online and sort of um, utilized the sort of the logistics and the sales and the all the structures of how things have been for in decades at this point. Um, but that's not the way the world works. It's increasingly less how the world works now. Um, your local gaming store, your Target, your Walmart, or what have you, is not how most people are getting role-playing game
Yeah.
products, or even how people are getting most products.
Most things.
More
Yeah.
more broadly, I'm getting it from Amazon. I'm getting it from online, and um, if you are making a role-playing game or a tabletop game or whatever, there's no reason you're ensuring that you will not be successful if you're trying to source your products so that they can be on the shelves of a brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
That is 100% not the way to go. The only reason it makes sense for Wizards to do so is because they exist at the scale that they do. And you have to be at that scale for it to even be profitable
And
to do
this
that.
the new
And
edition is not selling well.
it's not
Hmm.
selling well. And we saw there was
Yeah.
this huge thing that
Oh
happened a
yeah.
couple of weeks ago where there's a major distributor who Marvel uses and Paizo and Wizards of the Coast,
Image
uh,
Comics. Yeah.
Image Comics, a bunch of these people um, is going out of business,
Yeah.
and
So
they
this
yeah
basically the way this works, because it's a fairly big story in the RPG space, where you have this company called like Diamond Distributors, and they're a consignment company, and so basically they agree to take your books into their warehouse, and then they sell them to retail, or they put them in retailers. So this is a way to get your game into a big box
So they're like a
store.
middleman between you.
Yeah. And so when sales are made, the store gets a large cut, you get a large cut, and the consignment company gets a very small cut. But they're doing this at scale. So they're making up for it with volume of everything. Well, this company uh, has entered bankruptcy as of the end of last year. They stopped paying people like a couple months before the end of the year. They've gone into bankruptcy, and the way that it's worked is that since they have all this shit in their warehouse, and this has happened many times before, so there's a lot of precedent on this. They went to the courts and said, we have all of this stock. We owe all this money to our creditors. We're just going to sell what's in our warehouse and give all the profit we make is going to our creditors, and we're not going to pay anyone else. And so all of these companies, and some of them are small. There's like this guy, his channel is Roll for Combat. He's got like $120,000 worth of product with Diamond, and Diamond gets to sell all of his shit and essentially keep all the money. They're not keeping it; it's going to their creditors, but he's not getting anything. There's a bunch of these companies that are like all of their stuff. Paizo, who makes Pathfinder, all of their new releases were going out. They're going to have some, through local game stores, but all of their shit that was going to be sold through Amazon, through all the big retailers, all of that belongs to Diamond now, and to Diamond's creditors.
all
And
this
so,
is to show that this is it makes sense at scale, but you're opening yourself up to many uh many points of like risk,
yeah,
right?
it's
Um,
not, and it's not worth it. Like I don't want to split that. I don't want to fucking split the money
I
with
don't want to,
anyone
yeah,
else anyway.
there's no reason to, because it's a misguided way, or it's an outdated way of viewing how like business is done, because not only if we're going to publish a book and we're going to do it through a publisher and also a um, distributor to put this out on retail shelves, not only are there 3 people who are cutting into my profits, not only am I opening myself up to 3 points of failure, this is also actively operating against our strength and the strength of someone who is small, and against the strength of someone who wants to use the most like efficacious way of marketing your material, which is the internet. YouTube, Twitter, whatever. There's zero reason for anyone who isn't too bloated, too big to do so, to sell directly to your consumers.
Yeah. And this was like, there's, if you look at like Monty Cook games, Monty Cook used to work at TSR. He's one of the famous D&D guys. Yeah. But he has his own, and for many, many years has had his own company. He did a crowdfunding campaign for his game Numenera and made like mid 6 figures on it, like $500,000.
It was one of, if not the most successful Kickstarters at that time.
For
like a
role-playing game. And he was like, okay, well, I'm never selling in a store ever again. Why would I? And he's continued to make, it's like multiple times a year they do crowdfunding campaigns. Sometimes, I don't know if they've done more than $1 million, but they are making like high 6 figures over and over and over again. And you don't see his stuff in stores. And he's one of the biggest game designers, most successful game shops out there. And he's just selling online. And that's, I think, is the better way to do it. Like Nick said, you're opening yourself up to all this risk. And in the case of Diamond, in consignment houses, there is a way to ensure that your products aren't subject to this kind of a risk thing. But it takes you filling out all of this paperwork for every single one of your products. That basically, like, there is a form that you can fill out, or series of forms that I'm sure you have to have a lawyer do, to say, in the event that you go bust, I get my shit back. But that's an enormous amount of time and effort and money. Fees. Yeah, and lawyers and all of this stuff for something that probably isn't going to happen, but sometimes it does. It's
even that is not the only point of risk that you're opening yourself up to by using the system. You're just plugging yourself into this very bloated, ossified logistical system, which
and the thing
has worked in the past for big companies. This is how things had to be done.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you were making a book, you had to use a publisher.
Right.
Because there's no self-publishing. Yeah. You had to be on the shelves of a bookstore before Amazon. You were well past that point.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. And in my opinion, it's like, I have not gone to a bookstore or a game shop and discovered a game I wanted to play on the shelves in a very, very long time. And the selection is so much more limited. Yeah. I don't know why they're in business for the most part.
Yeah.
That's what
most
struck me
aren't
about
in business.
Shelf, yeah. That's what struck me.
And there's
looking at that shelf and being like, there are no other games. There are tons of games.
Yeah, there are, but it's like it's not worth it. And the other thing is, a lot of game stores are they're doing things like serving food and alcohol, and that's how they're making a lot of their profit. And that's how they're basically. And I'm not against game stores. Like, I think it like, we go to a game store and we play games there sometimes. But it's like, I'm not buying anything from there for the most part. And I know people do, but it's just, it is less than it used to be because you can fucking buy it online. If I could
that's not
click
going
a button
to change.
And it's like, and I get 2-day delivery on something. Why am I going to go to the store and find out they don't have the specific thing that I want to buy in stock, or
we all know this.
The fucking Amazon moron at the counter? Like, it's just, why would I deal with this?
Yeah. We've had Amazon for over 25 years.
20 years, yeah.
We all know this. I don't want to go somewhere to buy it. And I'll go somewhere to buy something because I have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I need it literally right now. If there's some sort of I need batteries, or I need something for my whatever it is. I need a hammer.
Yeah.
Apart from that, any purchase that is not an emergency purchase, in a very isolated circumstance, it's cheaper, easier, better, whatever it is, to purchase it online and
Yeah.
get it. And that's better from the business side too. Certainly
Yeah.
if you're small, if you know, like us, why in the world would we dilute our distribution?
Yeah. Add more
Absolutely.
people in.
Or just, I want to get the game on shelves. It's like painting with a shotgun. Like, hopefully someone will
Well,
see it. Like,
Yeah.
you are getting the game
that's
on
not the
somebody's
way the world
shelf.
works.
It's the gamer's shelf at home. Like, you're just
Yeah.
skipping the part in
Yeah.
between. It's on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like I think
it's the type of thing like when we did the Shucked Oyster, we sold I think something between digital and physical. So this is not physical. I think we probably did like 600 copies, and then it was almost 1,000. This was with the initial Kickstarter with like PDF and everything like that. And since then, we've sold a bunch more as well, like well over 1,000. And had I tried to get that into a game shop, I never would have made that many sales.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
You would have lost money.
never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have lost
Yeah.
money on that, and so it's like it's not only is it a better starting point for if you're doing your first product or whatever, you're going to do much better online with and doing something like print on demand. So you don't have any financial risk there. You're not exposing yourself to anything than you ever could getting something on the shelf. And there's no reason not to do it. And it's not like, oh, this is just how like the entry point and the goal should be I'm getting into the game shop. Who cares about the game shop?
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with this. They're not going to help you make sales. I'm not opposed
It's
if
only an
someone
albatross around your neck.
yeah, if a game shop owner was like, "Hey, I really want to put your product in my thing," like, sure, we'll sell you some wholesale copies or something. But it's like there's no benefit to you to doing that. It doesn't help you, and building your brand and your audience online is what helps you, and that's what makes sales. So that's my feeling. I don't
Yeah.
see any
No, I
reason
think
to try and be in a game shop.
I think ending that part of the discussion on you're basically cutting out the middleman and circumventing what is what Nick said is an ossified system that is unwieldy and doesn't serve its purpose is a good way to talk about it. One thing I wanted to touch upon, mainly from my own curiosity, so if you're here for the 40k part of the video, feel free to in the recording, feel free to go do something else for a bit, but don't, because this is going to be really cool. Americana. So,
oh yeah.
I had a feeling when I was watching that trailer, and I think I spoke to Matt about it when we were talking on Discord. I know the font doesn't come from Jurassic Park. Oh, that was used. But it did alight a feeling in me of, things were pretty cool, weren't they? Like that I just had that thing in the chest there, I think UK people have a very strange relationship with Americana. If people don't know what that means, it's basically the essence of what America is and who Americans are.
Classic American culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
The very famous quote by Vince McMahon, although we can't really talk about him anymore. Very famous quote that he said to Hulk Hogan in a contract meeting was, "I made you the fabric of Americana. How dare you treat me this way?" And that is basically, if you're looking at, yes, if you're looking through, it's not just nostalgia goggles. It's not that. It's deeper than that. It's like an intrinsic cultural fingerprint on your pulse. That's something we don't really have in Britain. We don't really have. I think we're too cynical to have an English Arcana, or whatever you want to call it. We are very lucky to have our history. We're very lucky to have our castles, where their minds are blown when they realize how lucky we are to live around this stuff.
Yeah.
But as a race, as a people, we're not dreamers. We don't sit here and think, okay, well, what can we do? Let's put a rocket in space, shit like that. We don't do stuff like that. The Americana trailer really, it said very little, but I still came away from it thinking that. Now, is that what you were going for? And if not, I'm so sorry.
No, that's exactly what
No.
we were going for.
Okay,
And
Yeah.
cool.
and it was a teaser. We are
Yeah.
going
Cool.
to be releasing videos and we're going to be talking in depth about this throughout
Hmm.
the year.
Yeah.
So that ideally we will launch this on Kickstarter as a just and rightful celebration of the 250th birthday of
Hmm.
the
Of the
greatest
United
country on
States.
earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But
which is going to
how does
be
one
great.
pass that into a role playing game though? That's the one question I had coming away from it. I was like, how is this going to even fit together?
So you're right in that we've talked about how 40K gets like
Hmm.
um, watered down or misinterpreted, and people hear Americana and they think that it's nostalgia bait. Um, and nostalgia is sort of everywhere. Nostalgia has been um, not weaponized, but it's been cynically used to get our dollars and our time
Mhm.
out from us. Um, but just like we started this conversation talking about Mithras and RuneQuest and
Hmm.
these sort of mythic things, Americana is it's a kind of mythic representation of the spirit of a people and a region. It's more
Mhm.
than just a 1950s aesthetic. It's more
Yeah.
than root beer floats or something. It's not a return to the past. It's what is the literal American dream, the soul of a people. Because even though there may not be an English arcana per se, you
Mhm.
can imagine there is a mythical hyper real representation of England,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and England is you can maybe there's a couple. There's Merry England and there's Arthurian and all of the different things. Same Germany and France and what have you. But it's we've talked a lot about this and are going to continue talking about it.
Don't go
What
any
what are the
further than you
core?
want to about for revealing stuff. By the way, I know I
Mhm.
put you on the spot a little bit.
No, it's fine. It's
That's okay.
fine. But
Yeah.
like, who are we? And
Hmm.
Matt, you said it, and we have said it several times, talking with you and elsewhere. Sincerity.
Yeah.
Who who are we? What is this thing? Because we want to paint a true and accurate picture of something that is unambiguously good. And
Hmm.
if something is that true, it is also definitionally good.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
and
I
yeah,
will say on the topic of sincerity, so it's like there's people basically look at like pessimism and optimism as being the opposites, and I don't think that's true. It's pessimism and sincerity, you know. And for
That's a really good way
us,
of putting it. Yeah.
we yeah we want to make something that is sincere. The For those, there's a lot of people out there who like our content on the World of Darkness. World of Darkness is a game that we very much like, and they keep asking, when are you going to make your vampire? When are you going to make your World of Darkness? And the answer is, we're never going to do that. First of all, because we're not going to do something better. We're not going to make a vampire game better than Vampire the Masquerade, in our opinion. But that is not the reason why we're not
Hmm.
going to do it. A big part of that is that there's something. The World of Darkness is a cynical world. It is a world of cynicism, and I have it has soured on me a lot. There's a lot of things that I like about that, and so the this is not our take on the World of Darkness, but people who like World of Darkness are going to love this game. Um, there is going to be some elements of horror in this,
Hmm.
um, but it is not a cynical game. It is not a
yeah,
cynical world, and
What you've
there's
mentioned is it sounds I'm gonna use the word brave. It sounds like a very brave thing to do. I'm of the opinion that nihilism is another front for cowardice.
Yeah,
Mainly
100%.
because you have to believe in things and get
Yes.
behind things, and it's an
Yep.
incredibly brave thing to do. And I think in writing a game like this, I know we're not going to get into mechanics and things because you're still working it out. But in writing a game like this with a title like this, that is kind of laying down the flagging, saying, okay, everything laid bare. Here's what's important to me.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
To do that
And
in this day and age
it's
is very brave. I would say that.
and without, again, like we've said, this is about like politics in game. There's no politics in this game, but this is a love letter to our homeland in the myths of America and the things that we love about our country and our people. And so in that sense, like it is an absolute love letter to all things America and Americana. But it's
But also in that sense, it's or sorry, finish your point.
No, go ahead.
If you're playing D&D, if you're playing 40K, there's every game has a setting, explicit or implied. And we really wanted to keep this at the forefront of our minds and express this to the people who are watching. Where we're coming from with Americana Dream is we're not giving you a fictional setting with lore per se. It's not really that. And this is like the point in the teaser. It's like, return to a place that's always been there, that you've always
You're already here.
It's real. You're already you are already here. This is something we all intuit, we all know is true. We're not giving you the fantasy version of Pecos Bill and Paul Bunyan or whatever. It's not cheap like that if we play our cards right, No, it's the closest example I can sort of give is not that I'm saying I'm better than him. Also, not saying I'm not better than him. Tolkien is he isn't making a fantasy setting. He's trying to give a revitalization and into myth, and America has the benefit of being a younger country, and a lot of this stuff is still closer to the surface. I guess, even though the enemy has done everything in their power to keep us from remembering this, but hopefully this sparks, a fire for people who, if you're English or you're French, you can still like this. We all understand in part what Americana is, and the soul of a people is a real thing. It is not just a figure of speech. It is a literally true thing. And there is a dream and a myth world of a people. And it's not just an allegory. It's not just imagination.
Yeah.
It's like Twin Peaks. I mean it like it is, like it sounds. That's
Mulholland Drive, but
I mean it like it is. That's Mulholland
Drive. Sounds. Yeah, that's the cowboy.
Is it?
No.
Isn't it?
Not. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Point is,
am I getting this? Am I fucking up my lore? Okay, doesn't matter.
You're getting
it was
your
Lynch.
Lore wrong.
Yeah.
How embarrassing! It doesn't matter. But this is the vibe. This is the sort of point we're trying to put over. This shit is real, and we know it's real, and it's awesome and it's good.
Yeah.
And that is something, despite for how real it is, it has been almost entirely forgotten.
Yeah.
And the misunderstandings as it pertains to like RPGs or fantasy or setting as such are almost infinite. We get distracted with lore facts
Yeah.
or with materialist consistency or Byzantine motivations of lore characters or plot characters. All of these fucking things. And none of that matters. Or at best, all of that is sort of a secondary to what is really, really
The
real,
core.
really, really true, which we're hoping to remind people of, because the world is good and we are going to win.
So there's two things. Firstly, sorry for nearly cutting you off in your prime there. You cut out for like 3 seconds, which is I thought you
no
finished
worries.
speaking. On the flip side of that, Tolkien, I don't know if you've ever read any of his essays. He spoke about his motivations for actually making The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And the one thing he said was that he thought the English had lost their mythology. That since the Battle of Hastings, it had become more like King Arthur was a French, a Breton, a hero. He was, and he wanted to actually inject some Englishness in there, which is why Rohan even exists. It's literally Vikings on horseback. If we had that, we wouldn't have lost the Battle of Hastings. So what you were saying there, Nick, sort of reminds me of that motivation, of that where is our, like I say I'm not American, but like it would be, where is our touchstone? Like where is it? Like, where is our soul here? Because America is a land of so many different myriad peoples and cultures that have all come to the same place for the same thing, and that's to just live happily and to be okay and to be entitled to the sweat of their brow, sort of a thing. But with so many myriad voices, you will lose that central through line of what it is to be American. Eventually, it will start to thread and go away. We're seeing that in Britain right now. We're going to get into some controversial topics if I go any further, of course. But we are getting to that stage in Britain now where people are starting to feel that they've lost their country, that we've lost our who we are. That's what I meant by brave. When I said writing something like Americana Dream does seem extremely brave to say, look, I'm going to nail my flag to the mast here and say my colours here and say, look, this is what I think we are. Because any definitive statement these days, people will try and attack because they're cowardly and they don't like anything that maybe is saying something. Even if they might like what's being said. So the reason why I wanted to bring up Americana, even if we can't talk too much about it right now, because I just want to get that message across. It is a very brave thing to do, and I'm very excited for where it's going to go. I think a lot of people, when it does come out, might revisit this video and go, that's what he meant. A lot more was revealed here than perhaps it seemed at the start. I'm reticent to take up any more of your valuable time, so I guess we can call it there. But thanks for coming on, guys. That was awesome.
And, thanks for having us.
Thank you for
Black
having
Lodge
us, man.
Games,
this
guys.
is awesome.
Yeah, go and support them. Black Lodge Games. They normally stream when I'm getting up or when I'm in bed, which is why I hardly ever make a stream. But when I do, I always say hello.
Very late or early for the Europeans.
Thursday nights, 8:30 p.m. Central Time is when we stream. So yeah.
However, we are going to start. We do have a locals. And if you use promo code FREN, you can get a FREN, the correct
spelling. Yeah.
You
can get a month free at our locals.
But we are going to start doing bi-monthly live streams. We don't know what time those will be yet, but perhaps those will be more advantageously timed. I think they probably will be, because they're not going to be later than the Thursday live stream. So, and we're going to talk about broader, deeper, other stuff as well, and we can veer in like we have with this conversation to politics if that comes up, with culture more broadly because we'll be on locals.
Yeah.
So excellent. And guys, if you're in the US, you don't have an excuse. I can't even remember when I think it was one of young Steve's Nick's videos on Vampire back in the day, where he's literally just talking into the camera, into my soul, and that's when I sort of got involved with the Black Lodge games. I'm happy to be on here before you guys blow up, so when you do, don't forget like who was here.
Of course, man.
Waving at the start. As you blow us all by. But no, if you guys like RPGs, if you like any sort of the meta around RPGs too, the process of writing them, gaming systems galore, make sure you go check out Black Lodge Games, and also Shucked Oyster and sorry, my voice. Shucked Oyster is been available for quite a while now, hasn't it? It's been
yeah. It's on drive-through. We just we also put up Cults of Zahak, our D100 Mithras book is on drive-through now in PDF. We're still about half of the people who backed that on Kickstarter, who got the hardcover, have ordered their books. We're waiting until more people have ordered their books, and so they have a little period of exclusivity, and then we'll put the hardcover up available as well. But that's on drive-through RPG, both of those.
Beautiful.
Indeed.
Of course, we have Bloodmore on the way as well.
Yeah.
A pair of busy bees over here, is all I can say. But thank you for coming on, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us, man.
We'll see you later. I'll stay on the call for a sec, say goodbye, but we'll see you guys later.